We all know that North Myrtle Beach is the place to be if you want to experience our state dance, shag. And we all know that before 1968, the name North Myrtle Beach didn't even exist. But here are some facts I bet you didn't know.
Paddy Wagon was one that you didn't have many police cars. In the Paddy Wagon, you hauled people from the waterfront. Well, let me start before that. Before that, we used to handcuff them around a telephone pole up there, right there beside the old Ferris wheel in front of the pad, you know, the barrel over there. And then Chief Bellamy finally got it was an ambulance, really, and that's when he first started using that. And after that, he finally got a Paddy Wagon, and you hauled all the troubles, and you handled nothing but you'd go where a policeman needed you on that waterfront. That weren't to go out there and police the streets with. We had it on the waterfront and parked at the Horseshoe. You'd go either way or walk and get them. Most of the time you had so much traffic you had to walk and bring them to it. But the Paddy Wagon was a real good thing, and it handled all the trouble calls later. I handled house parties and trouble calls. I've had as many as 27 in the back at one time in that Paddy Wagon. And we'd always, went and make a dry run, you'd wait a few minutes where you wouldn't have to get called back, but you'd try to take 3 or 4 if they were necessary. And then you would take them in and book them and go back to the waterfront.
After the season of where people made all their money, the day after Labor Day, I think it was, or it could have been Labor Day, I can't remember. But they would go out on the beach and build big bonfires, and they'd take these nets and they'd go around and pull everything in, and the women would clean them and clean the fish or crabs or whatever, and then they'd make cornbread, and they would have bands down there and everybody singing and playing, and because we'd had a good harvest for the summer. And it was really nice back, but I know it messed the beach up, but it was fun. It was really a lot of fun.
A lot of people probably don't remember this, but back in the days when the Studebaker was a well-known car, Grissett Beach had a car dealership in it, and it was called the Studebaker Dealership, and it was operated by Richard Carteret. And about a block down the street, there was a garage called Allen's Garage, and I have been told that Mr. Allen used to have a Willis Jeep dealership a long time ago. And I just want to mention those, you know, back then to have a dealership in a town our size was virtually unknown. To buy a car, you either had to go to Myrtle Beach or Conway or Loris. But we had a Studebaker dealership until the late 60s, and Mr. Carteret moved to Dillon and closed the dealership up, but that building still exists. And Allen's Auto Service, the building is still there, and it's operated by his son Jerry now. And of course, they're not in the car dealership, but they repair now and do a lot of towing. But I don't know whether people remember Studebakers or not. And while we're talking about Studebakers, at Windy Hill there was a policeman down there named Mr. Montjoy. And Montjoy loved Studebakers, and one of his police cars was what they called a Studebaker Hawk back then. And I can remember after he had that one, he bought another one, and Chief Montjoy ordered him one that had 2 4-barrel carburetors on it, if my memory's right. It's supposed to have been one of the fastest car around, but now the other police departments use Ford and Chevrolets, but he was a Studebaker man, and he liked those Studebakers.
There was Mr. Woods down there, and that was a little bit on the classic side. The big boys boats would go down there, you know. And then there's this place called Jeffro. Jeffro was known for this ham sandwich. If anybody, back then, you know, I could eat anything I want to, pork, but Jeffro had the best ham sandwich. I mean, it's like places on the beach that you send people to if they want this or that. Then there was the Ocean Queen across from Punk's Patio. They was known for the sausage dog. They give you this foot-long sausage dog. It was fully involved, you know, and so it had everything on it. And then there was a place called the Baby Grand, and that was for, I guess, the guys, the big shot guys, if we call them back then. They walked in there on Sunday with ties and neckties, and a lot of them come from North Carolina. They was longshoremen. They was making big money. I mean, we had some blacks that making some local blacks making big money right across the line here, and these longshoremen, they come in and basically take the place over because they was spending big money. And I guess everybody, you know, they didn't have the liquor laws like they had, but, you know, we had some liquor. And you go in and you bring your own liquor and you get a setup, they call it, and you get your ice bucket, and they had a little booth on the side if you want privacy and all. So the thought process was there for it really to grow and take off. And then there was just on the side of the streets that they had food, like people cooking fish and frying, doing pork chops and barbecue and that type of thing.
Claude Dunnigan, a little guy, suffered from polio when he was real young. He and his brother Harry, a handsome, debonair war hero, moved to North Myrtle Beach in the early 50s. Claude had a 4x5 speed graphic camera. And Claude came down to Skip's studio, where I worked in the afternoon after school. And Claude would come in his dapper little way with his polio affliction and the big camera like mine. And Claude would have me to develop his plate holders that were used in that camera. And I would develop the film, and it was pretty girls out on the beach. And we'd tease Claude about photographing pretty girls. But then he would also photograph the surf fishing, the pier fishing, the boats coming in at Little River. And he started the Grand Strand News Bureau. And his byline was Claude Dunnigan from the Grand Strand of South Carolina. Claude Dunnigan coined the phrase, the Grand Strand.
I found right away when I came to town, I found that there was like two classes of people here in North Myrtle. Those people that were here when Hazel hit, the hurricane, they considered themselves locals. Anybody else that came after Hazel, they were just those other people. And it was just kind of like a class system, you know, you're either in or you're out, you know. And it didn't matter how long you stayed here, you never was considered locals. And that still holds a little bit true today, that oh, you weren't here when Hazel hit, you know, that thing. So we had to overcome that, but the people are really great here and have been all along.
I just enjoy, especially in the fall when it's so peaceful and they're pulling fish on the beach and you can run out and see what they caught and see the people that are out fishing, surf fishing. And I just like to walk on the beach. And I don't care how upset you are about anything. When I took my daughter to Clemson University to go to school and come back, and I was so upset, leaving her all that far away, and she wasn't but 16 years old. So I took long walks on the beach, and it helped a lot. It helped me through many, many times that I wanted to sit down and cry and didn't. I just got out and walked on the beach and enjoyed talking to everybody. So that is good for anybody that has a problem. Just take it to the beach and walk it off.
So as you can see, we're hard at work documenting history for the future North Myrtle Beach Area Historical Museum. And here's one more fact. We need you. Come join us in our effort to preserve North Myrtle Beach area history.